Alrighty, here we go. Yes, this is the Travis Neville Podcast. My name's Travis Neville. I wrote a book called Reviving Masculinity. Working on putting together an outline for my third book, also in the masculinity field. Excited about that. I'll keep giving you updates as we go. Other things going on. I live in Michigan, and my Detroit Lions are actually a good football team. Like legit. Like they came back and beat a team when they were down. That's something good teams do, and holy shit, they did it. So, it's cool. A lot of things are happening. It's Thanksgiving week, so people are going to be back hanging with their families, enjoying each other's company, hopefully, getting with some old friends. Maybe you're back to the town that you grew up in. Hopefully, that's the case. That's some good stuff right there for sure. I know Wednesday night is supposed to be the biggest bar night. I don't know, of all bar nights, because everybody's out hanging out with friends and family the night before Thanksgiving stuff. So enjoy the crap out of that. That being the case, I was thinking about, though I never had anything but positive feelings to do with holidays. Like to me, it was always fun. I didn't understand. People would say, "Oh, some people, it's real. Holidays are a real drag." I never understood that. Never understood it at all. And I'm not saying that holidays are suck for me now. I'm not saying that at all. But I understand it. You know, if you don't have the things you think you're supposed to have in your life, that's kind of what holidays are, right? They're sort of like your check, like you're checking in, catching it, getting your, you know, like a status check. Like, where are you in your life? Where were you last Christmas? What were you doing last Thanksgiving? Have you improved since? You know what I mean? Like, these are natural thoughts you're going to have. And as you're thinking through that, you might come to the conclusion that, hey, I need to be around my family a lot more. You might be more of you are gonna, after a couple days with them, be like, I'm glad I don't live there anymore. You know what I mean? This is why I left. Uh, and that's okay too. That's totally normal. And in the vein of that, I've been working this show up for these 2, 3 weeks on sovereignty. And that's what I want to talk about here. Sovereignty. What is that? Well, just a straight up from a definition perspective, sovereignty means that you are self-reliant essentially, and not just self-reliant on your own, but also that there's an element of other people in this definition that other people recognize sovereignty as well. Like when we talk about a sovereign nation, that means that like the United States, we fought a Revolutionary War in the 1700s from England to establish our sovereignty. We are no longer a colony of yours, and we expect you to treat us as such. And if they, and this applies in lots of places, not just in war. And if you don't treat us as a sovereign nation, well, we're going to fight. And if you don't respect us, we're going to make you respect us. We're going to fight you until you have to, so you don't have a choice. And that's exactly what happened here in the American Civil War, and it happens. So it's so common in so many civil wars, or I'm sorry, American Revolutionary War. And same thing happened in the Civil War, right? So it was the South going, we want states' rights. We want you to recognize our sovereignty and our ability to govern ourselves. And the federal government, the northern uh, federal government, said, no, we're better as a unit. We're not letting you secede. You're going to stay here with us. In some of these war examples, they just really apply so well to you and your individual life. Um, and so I broke it down like this. I think there's 4 different arenas that you can exercise your sovereignty in. And I guess before we get into those 4, well, I'll tell you what they are. So there's financial, emotional, physical, and mental sovereignty. I'll give you some ways to be better about that here in a minute. But before we dig into that too hard, um, I want to give you this disclaimer, right? When you're talking about personal sovereignty, it isn't that your goal is to be alone and go out and live like Ted Kaczynski in a cabin in the woods by yourself and never talk to anybody, never be around anybody ever, and never have any input from anyone. That's not your goal. Okay. It's a nice thought. It's a romantic thought. I don't mean romantic like in the traditional way. I mean like the original phrasing of, oh, it's exciting to think about, right? Yeah, forget about the Old West, Clint Eastwood, man on an island, rugged individual. People are supposed to socialize. People are supposed to be together. It's natural. It's built into our DNA. Going back to the time when, we lived in tribes, it was like the worst thing. And I've talked about this in both of my books. It was the worst thing that could possibly happen to you was to get sort of banished from your tribe because that severely limited your ability to survive. Okay. And it wasn't just because, hey, in a tribe, we've got people who do the hunting and people who do the, you know, gathering, and we've got people who make the clothes. And that's true. The specialization is nice, and you don't have to do all that shit yourself, which I hope you see as an advantage of not being that rugged individual. But there's also that just a straight up human need for human contact. When you think about you go to prison, what's the worst thing they can do to you? Solitary confinement. Because you've got to have personal interaction. You've got to have You have to have that. It's a natural, as a human, you need it. Okay, so don't go thinking that what we're going to talk about today is a recipe to go live in Antarctica or something. Okay, it's a very unusual, extreme rarity. Somebody who chooses to live like that and can be reasonably happy. I would argue that those who do, a lot of people do that because they just don't feel like they fit in or don't really know how to socialize with other people and fuck read a book. There's podcasts about this stuff. It should help you. So know that. I'm not trying to get you guys to be off on your own all the time. That's never a goal. Okay, that's never going to be a thing. You need time by yourself, yeah, but not all the time. All right. Okay, so why is sovereignty important? Well, I would argue this that the more uh, able to be self-reliant, the more able to be individual and not rely on anyone else, the more you're able to do that, the more honest you can be. Like, take a look at me, for example. I fit in, I think, most of these categories. I work for myself, so I don't have a boss, right? I have emotional um, sovereignty, which means I don't have a romantic partner whose opinions are going to weigh into my decisions. Physically, I'm still in good shape. Mentally, we'll talk more about that later. I have all these things, and it means that I'm able to do exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm able to be extremely honest, no exceptions about what I think, and less this podcast is about what I think, and more it's about the research I've done, the books I've read, and how it actually applies to the real world. Um, but because I have actual individual sovereignty, I can be 100% honest, which I think is a tremendous upside for me. I want to believe that everyone I talk to is being honest with me, and I can actually cite reasons and lifestyle choices why I'm going to be honest with you, which is what I just did. So, being honest, I think that's going to lead you to be your truest self, your most natural, normal, true self. Now, does that mean that I never have interactions with people? Absolutely fucking not. I have, over the last 2 weeks, I've had one, two, three, four, five, six, seven different guests over that 2 week time span. I had a dude, my buddy Eric was working with me for like 4 days, so I was with him 24/7. Okay. Then he goes home. A couple days later, my buddy Matt comes up and he's here for 24 hours. Same thing. We're, hanging out the whole time, except for sleeping, but that doesn't count. And then I have a couple other friends come up and they're here for 48 hours and I'm with them 24/7. And then my buddy comes up, Mike, and we're hunting for 3, 4 days. And then a couple more buddies come up. So I'm around people all the time, and that's great. I need that. Now, it's nice to be by yourself too. But my point is that even though I'm 100% sovereign and 100% self-reliant, I make sure I have those social interactions. I would even argue this. I'd say that the more honest you are, the more other people are going to value you. They're going to value your opinions. They're going to know that what you say is true. They're going to know that it's real. They're going to know that I mean, nobody's unbiased, but they're going to know it's less biased than most people, right? Which is a good thing. Okay, so there's the background. Okay, you're not trying to be out on an island. Um, And why be sovereign? Because it's going to lead to honesty and freedom, essentially. I mean, that's what everything I'm about to tell you about. That's what it's aimed at. So, financial sovereignty. How do you achieve that? Well, unfortunately, most people in the world aren't going to get to the fuck you money level in their lives. If you do, you're going to be a lot older, and you won't be self-reliant in other areas of your life. You might have all the money you need, but you got needs in other areas. Um, but I have found tremendous liberation in making the change from working from somebody else to working for myself. Um, I'm a general contractor essentially. I'm a subcontractor sometimes. Um, I'm going to have other contractors that I work with. I'm going to have people who work for me. I'm going to have clients that I'm working for. And those all impact the decisions I make essentially. But all of those can go away at any time, and it's not going to stop me from doing my job. I can dump every one of those people I just mentioned. I'll work for somebody else, hire other people to work for me. It's not going to change really my ability to make money and provide for myself. So there's one way to step into that arena. Okay, now you're eliminating one opinion in your life that is a powerful one, and that's your employer. If you can eliminate that, you're more free. Okay, now you're more honest. Um, so like ultimately, like I said, the ultimate goal is to have so much money you don't even need to work. And all your bills are paid forever, and your house is paid off, and all that shit. But again, when you get to that, you might be 60 or 70, and then these other things might be dwindling by then. But financially, yeah, I mean, I don't understand it. Like, looking back at what it felt like to me to work for somebody else, uh, I hope I never have to do that again. I never liked it. I mean, I always felt like it was up to them whether or not I paid my bills. And man, I just never liked that feeling. So I like this so much more. My buddy Mike is looking at maybe moving on and working for himself too. And he's right where I was when I made the change. He's not sure about it. He's uncomfortable. He's so used to having that paycheck every 2 weeks or whatever it is. I get it. Giving that up is it's tough, but once you get there, you're like, holy shit, this is so much better. You make so much more money. I don't have a boss. Like, I would never go back if I could avoid it. So yeah, the economy, politics, your mistakes, other people, you know, they're never going to stop me from being able to make money. And even when I was working as a teacher and I had all those things, a boss and all of that, and politics and the economy all impacting my ability to make money, I had my construction skills back then. And I knew worst case, I can always put food on the table with a hammer and a paintbrush. Um, so, just having a backup, it's a form of sovereignty too. So that's the financial freedom piece. I think that's pretty straightforward. That's why I started there. Second thing, physical. Your physical sovereignty is the thing that you should be aware of every day. And what do I mean by that? All right. So, like, I'm 47 years old, and I'm still in pretty good shape. I can still run 2 miles pretty fast. I can lift a lot of weights. I've never stopped moving. I've never stopped working. And so I have physical ability still. Like, I can work as hard as a dude or harder who's 27. And that means that, like, if I need to move, for example, say I'm moving, like when I moved up here, I moved myself. I had one guy help me one day, and it was just on the stuff that was so big, you needed two people to move it. Um, you know, so I can do that stuff. I work physically around my house. I take care of my yard. I built the damn house myself. Um, so physically, I still can do that. If you are, and I saw this video Tim Kennedy posted where this woman gets out of her car and a baby's in a stroller, and the stroller just kind of takes off running downhill. And she's so fat and gross she can't even jog after. She falls on her face and can't get up. And somebody saves this baby in this baby carriage from going into the road and dying because you're so fat and disgusting. You don't have any physical sovereignty. You don't have the ability to use your body the way it was meant to be used so that you can save yourself in those situations. You know what I mean? Um, but granted, as you get old, I think everybody's going to need help the older you get on some stuff. I think, men are notorious for having that pride of, oh, I don't need any help. I can do it myself. And I know I'm going to fall into that category. I know it. And that's why I'm working so hard now is to make sure that, when I get there, hopefully I get there, I still climb on high ladders and ride a motorcycle and shit. So hopefully I make it there. Um, I'll still be physically able. Like I look at my dad, he's 77 and he can still get up and do stuff and, works on things. He goes out to his shop and builds stuff and, he's doing fine. So I figure I got till 80 to where at least, or, as far as my dad goes and shit. I think I've been more diligent about my body than he was. I think he worked way too hard at some stuff and ruined his knees and stuff. I haven't had those problems, so I might go longer. Hopefully I do. Um, yeah, I mean, being able to fight or run or you know, uh, you got to be able to do that stuff. For fuck's sake, everybody. Oh man, the world. I'll just call the police. I mean, they'll get there when they can, if they can. But, 911's not going to stop a bullet. I'm just saying, not that you will anyway. But my point is, you're not free, and you're not honest, and you're not who you could be if your body isn't able. It is what it is. Another part of being physically sovereign is your fuel sources. Um, you don't have to start a small farm and go organic and do all that stuff, but man, figure out, like I'm just learning how to hunt. And I'm not very good at it, but I know how to, I know how to kill an animal. I know how to field dress it. I can't process it yet, but by next year I'll be able to do that. And so now I'm filling my freezer, and that's food. I mean, I'm to the point now where I think I can make probably 35% of my meat. I can make it venison at this point, and anything else I hunt, and I'm not reliant on the grocery stores. I'm not reliant on the logistical nightmare that happened after the Rona. I'm not relying on that. How things are going to get to places and fuel and all the possible things that could happen in an organized, civilized society. If that were to break down, I'd be okay. Like if I had to just hunt more, I'm good enough meat. Uh, I haven't learned how to can yet, and I haven't started growing too much of my own stuff yet. But I'm moving in that direction. I know I'm going to put some raised beds out here over the top of in my front yard, and I'll start growing some vegetables, and I'll learn how to can and start doing that stuff. And you move in the right direction. This is the thing I'm only starting to really value is how to support myself and my personal fuel needs that way. And speaking of fuel, it's not just your fuel for yourself. You got to think, what am I going to do if I can't get gasoline, for example? If our gasoline runs like everything. All right, power's out. Oh, let's start the generator. You need gas. How much do you have at your house? How long could you go with no infrastructure anymore? How long could you go? And it isn't about, oh, the world's going to end or you're a prepper, you're a doomsday prepper. It's about shit. You just never know. After the shit that happened with COVID, the way the government shut us all down, um, you just never know. So being able, it's huge. There's this gas company that I get my propane from, and you can lease from them a big, it's like a 75 gallon or 100-gallon raised fuel tank, like a gasoline tank, and they'll come out and fill it up for you, and you pay whatever you pay, and then it's there if the shit hits the fan. Well, at least you got that much. You can go that much longer because you've got all that gas if you need it. Um, these are ways that you can extend your range. You can extend your ability to stay alive and keep your life in a reasonable sense of normalcy when shit breaks down. Um, you're relying on fewer people. You're becoming more sovereign. You're becoming less reliant on others. So those are your physical. That's your physical sovereignty. Um, Emotional sovereignty, it's a little different thing. Um, it's where we get more into the relationship stuff. I would tell you that as a man, and I've given this advice to dozens of dudes, um, you need to be less needy with your wife, with your girlfriend, with whoever. Um, the more needy you are, the less masculine you are. That's just what it is. And I know that you have it in you. It's built into you that there's this little voice going, you don't ever want to be a burden. Okay. If you don't have that voice, you fucking should. Um, And it's a good thing most of the time. Other times it's not so good. If you are, I don't want to be a burden, so I'm never going to talk about my problems. I'm going to let them build up and explode and blow out. That's no good either. I talk about it in detail in the most recent book, Reviving Masculinity, how to handle that. And we don't need to go through that here, but suffice it to say, the needier you are with your partner, the less attracted to you she's going to be. Just the truth. The advice that I give is don't bring your problems home and just complain about it to your wife when you get home or whatever the situation is when she gets home or whatever it is. Because the more you seem powerless about your troubles, the less, uh, the less, I guess, faith she's going to have in you. The less she's going to respect your ability to do the things that you need to do as a man, and that's protect and provide. If you're breaking down all the time, I don't know, I handle this, and this guy's a jerk to me at work, and blah, blah, you look ineffective. And there is not a woman on the planet, no matter what they tell you, who's going to be attracted to that. Okay? So my advice is always the same. Call one of your buddies. Write about it. I don't care. Fucking go see a therapist. Call me, whatever, and work through some shit. And then what you do is you go home because you don't want to be closed off to her either. You go home and you share the outcome of. Hey, I was dealing with this thing at work, but here's what I came up with. This is my solution. This is what I'm gonna do. What do you think about that? You know what I mean? Now you're effective. You're still talking about it. She still knows what's going on in your life. Everybody's on the same page. But you're not a whiner. You're not a whiny bitch. Okay? So essentially, that's the advice I give in the book, and I give that to lots of men too when I'm dealing with people one on one. Yeah. So why is that helpful? Well, first of all, you're maintaining your relationship by doing that. You're giving her a gift by handling your own business and then just bringing her home and reporting out about it to her. Um, Second, and more importantly, uh, the more reliant you are on someone, on anyone, the less reliant you are on yourself, and that by definition is not okay. That is not um, self-reliant. You're not independent at that point. Now, that word independent gets thrown out by a lot of single moms who just want to say I'm independent. Look at me. Um, and I hear it from other guys, from guys too. And again, that's not the goal. Okay, your goal is to get together with someone. Independence is not a thing to be bragged about. Okay, you can do it. We're bragging about it. What's the point of that? Yeah, congratulations. You have a house and a car and a job. You're an adult. Nice work. Okay, shut the fuck up about it. Um, yeah. So, but independent is a good thing. What it is I'm coming to you. The dynamics in the relationship change. Okay, I'm coming to you because I want to share my life with you. I'm coming to you because I want your opinion on things. I'm coming to you because I want to spend time with you, not because I need you and I won't make it if I don't. Okay, huge difference in dynamic changes. Okay, so the way that you structure that and the way you talk about it, it's going to make a big difference. And sadly, yeah, that's one of those many double standards between men and women. Women get to come home and complain about everything all the time, and it's not going to make you any less attracted to her. She's still got boobs, right? Uh, so that's how that goes. Emotional sovereignty. It's a thing to be aware of. Don't share all of your problems. Don't share all of your wins. Keep some shit to yourself. Maintain a little bit of mystery there. That'll help you in your relationships. Let me see here. That's emotional. I could spend a lot more time on that, but that's kind of not what the show's about today. Last one's mental sovereignty, and of course, mental and emotional are tied up, but they're not the same. Um, what's mental sovereignty? Well, how can I be sovereign? Who else is somebody else controlling my brain? What the fuck, dude? No, that's not what I mean. You are controlling your brain. Um, but there are things that are going to creep in there. Sometimes your emotions are going to creep in and try to hijack your thinking, your clear thoughts, your mental clarity, and now you're essentially relying on those emotions. That's not going to get you anywhere. So let me give an example. Like I was talking to my old man the other day, and we're shooting the shit, and he just loves to bash Trump. He loves to talk shit about Trump, and like he just kind of out of nowhere, we're just chit chatting. And he doesn't say anything about Trump. We weren't talking about that. So I'm like, Dad, what's going on? What's going on? And he said, I need Trump out of my life. I need him out of my life. Right. Well, shit. Why is he in your life? No, he's not the president anymore. He doesn't hold any elected office. He's got no control over you at all. I feel like it's pretty easy to just close your phone or turn off the TV, and he's out of your life. And like he's still kind of complaining a little bit. And I said, you're letting him live rent free in your head. He's living in your head for free, and you're not getting anything out of it. You're not getting any rent free. You know what I mean? So why are you letting him do that? And that's just a small example. And everybody's got things that get under their skin and drive them nuts. But I say this all the time. You got 24 hours in the day. And if you're doing it right, you're sleeping for 8 of them. So you only got 16 hours in a day. And, that's a lot of time to spend with yourself. How do you want to spend that time? How do you want to spend your thinking time? Do you want to think about, some shit that makes you unhappy all day? Gets it all worked up, raises your cortisol levels, brings you, makes you die sooner, makes your body not work as well. Is that why would you spend the time doing that? You're, again, living rent free in your head. You're not getting anything back from that. Matter of fact, all you're getting is bad, putting wear and tear on your brain and the rest of your body. Um, I would rather think about positive things. I had a conversation with my friend Sarah on the phone just half an hour ago, and she said, "Why do guys block girls that they're no longer dating? Why do they block them?" And I do that. I do it. I'll block them for quite a while, actually. Um, a lot of times permanently, but certainly initially, I don't want to hear from them because it doesn't make me feel good. It's not a thing I want to deal with. Once I've made the decision that, hey, this isn't going to work, I don't even really want to hear a response. And that might sound cold, but she's going to respond and say, well, why? I don't want to hear it. Once I've made that decision, I'm sorry, it's over. That's that. And I'm not talking about, like, I'm not dating anybody for more than a couple months, maybe 3 months. That's all I get out of anybody anymore. It sucks, but it is what it is. But once I've made that decision, then I block them. And it's this, when I'm looking through my phone, I got all my text messages right there, and I see that for that person on there, just looking at that doesn't make me feel that good. I'd rather look at something that makes me feel good. As simple as that sounds, as basic as it sounds, when I'm going through my pictures in my phone looking for something, I don't want to run into pictures of my ex. It's going to not make me feel good. I know it didn't work out. I don't like that. I don't like disappointing people. I don't like being disappointed. I don't like hurting people. I don't like being hurt. And that picture is going to bring a lot of tumult and turmoil into my head. I don't want to live my life thinking about shit like that. So I explained that to her, to Sarah. I said, "Hey, that's why we do that." And it's just as simple as I want my day to be as positive and peaceful as possible, allowing me more mental sovereignty. I have fewer emotions dragging down my clear thought processes. Okay. So there's kind of the bigger picture on mental sovereignty. You can have some things that you love to hate getting into your shit. Like for my dad, you can have previous failures rotting your brain away. That happens to me. I'm getting way better at that. Um, you can even shit have chemicals like the last for 2 weeks there. Excuse me. For 2 weeks there, I basically had people with me 24/7, and I live in a place that people want a vacation at. So they're up here and they're on vacation. They don't want to drink every day and smoke pot and take weed gummies and all that stuff. And I have all that stuff here because sometimes I do that stuff, um, and I like having it for guests too. Um, but for me, like, you're here for a day or two and you drink way too much, blah blah, and then you're gone. Well, then I got more people coming, and so I recognize that over the last 2 weeks I drank way more than I would. I'm not getting trashed or anything, but you're drinking every day, and the pot gummies are nice because I got 4 people in my house at a time or whatever it might be, and the pot's gonna help me sleep, and I got all these rationalizations, but in the end, they cloud my fucking brain. They keep me from being able to make very good decisions. I mean, not that I make bad ones, but I can't think as sharp. I can't pull up the words I want to pull up. I can't do lots of things that I want to be able to do as well as I possibly can. I'm a fucking writer, for shit's sake. My ability to think is everything. If I can't do that, then I can't do this. Um, so I guess I'm talking myself right out of using pot or alcohol to excess, which, I wrote a chapter about that in the first book. Um, yeah, so that's another thing that can take away from your mental sovereignty, your ability to be extremely honest about who you are and what you feel, and have the freedom that you want to have to be able to explore and use your brain the way that you should be able to use it to its optimum capability. Um, so that's what it is, all right? Sovereignty, being independent, being free, being honest. Um, I gave you 4 different ways to try to work on that: um, financial, emotional, physical, and mental. Um, and remember, the goal is not to be off on your own, like some solo badass. That's just in the movies. All right. All of this, as always. All right. We're trying to get men to be better men for women, for children, for families, for your community, for your kingdom. Okay. That's the goal here. The better you are, the better they are. And that's the goal. You're trying to make everybody around you bring up their level and get them as great as you can help them be by being the best that you can be. All right, when you have all your shit together, now you have the ability to help others. Put your own life mask on first before you help anybody else with theirs, right? All right, sovereignty. My name is Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. I wrote a book called Reviving Masculinity. You can get that on Amazon. You can get that at Walmart. You can get that at Palmetto Publishing, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. I'm looking forward to doing some episodes with guests coming up. We're going to get that going again. I hope today's episode helped you in some way to get your shit together. Have a great week.